The story starts with a red-tinted sky on a remote farming village somewhere in Japan. The entire village first appears abandoned and desolate, but a closer glance reveals that nearly all the villagers have been turned into corpses. The screen pans out to reveal that the corpses appear to be crawling in a certain direction. At the center of the corpses on the path is a little girl wearing a traditional Miko dress. She appears to have been the objective of the now-dead villagers. Back in present day at Academy City, Toma and Index are waiting to cross the road when Toma complains about how expensive the reference book he bought is. Their argument is interrupted by the appearance of Motoharu and Aogami, Toma's classmates from before his memory loss. They ask who the girl is. Aogami comments on his dull reaction and jokes that he may have lost his memories. In the restaurant, Index seems pretty content with Toma's decision, but he is exasperated at having to treat not only Index but Aogami and Motoharu as well. Index then directs Toma to an occupied table where a suspicious-looking girl is sitting with her head in her arms. Toma asks the girl what the problem is, to which she replies that she has spent all her money on food. She says that she doesn't have enough money for the train, and Toma suggests that she should just borrow it from someone. Motoharu and Aogami are amazed at how lovely she is, and the latter takes a picture of her. She then asks both Motoharu and Aogami for money to lend to her, especially the latter who has taken pictures of her. However, Index gets fed up with her and comments on how shrine girls sell their faces in this city too. She kindly tells Index that she is not a shrine girl, but is in fact a magician. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of several men in suits, apparently acquaintances of the girl, which she confirms by asking money from them and saying that they are her cram school teachers. She then leaves with the men, prompting Aogami to ask why a cram school teacher would be looking after a student. Later, Index finds a stray calico cat inside a box, and Toma rejects the idea of taking it home. The cat runs away while they're arguing, and Index tries to go after it. However, soon after she has left, Toma suddenly feels uneasiness in his surroundings and is greeted by a tall man with red hair who seems to know him. His name is Style. Style says that he should be familiar with this spell that removes unwanted people from an area, leaving Toma and Style alone. Toma wonders who the person before him is and is cautious in speaking with him. Style interprets this as a sign that Toma still does not like or trust him, which he understands. Toma then asks Style what he wants from him, but mistakenly smiles while doing so, prompting Style to attack him with his fire magic. Toma was quick enough to block it, and is then told by Style that is how their relationship should be, not friends. Style then informs Toma about Misala Cram School, which has recently become a sort of religious cult and has also imprisoned a girl. Style says that the reason the school is in its current state is that it was taken over by an alchemist, Aureolus. Style continues his explanation, saying that the alchemist has been in hiding for 3 years and is now back for the girl imprisoned in Misala Cram School, nicknamed Deep Blood. Style says that Deep Blood possesses the ability to kill a certain organism, vampires, and is what Aureolus is after. After his explanation, Toma asks what he wants from him, and Style states that he is on a mission to attack Misala Cram School and rescue Deep Blood, and that Toma is going with him or else Index will be taken away. Back in his dormitory, Toma discovers that Index has brought in the cat from early. As Toma leaves his apartment, he finds Style applying runes that will summon Inocentius in the area outside his door as an extra precaution against magicians. Style notes how troublesome Index is to look after. They eventually arrive at the Cram School, and Style notes that the entire building has become the alchemist's seal. Toma asks Style if Aureolus is strong, and Style confirms this by saying that he has achieved the ultimate goal of alchemists, the power to model anything in this world, the power to bring out anything they imagine into reality. Style then shows the picture of the imprisoned girl they are going to rescue to Toma. Toma gasps as Style says that her name is Aza. It's the girl Toma met earlier at the restaurant. Toma and Style walk into the school and notice a figure in knight's armor lying slumped over next to a column in the school lobby. Toma thinks that it is a robot, but Style tells him that it is a corpse lying in a pool of its own blood. Toma asks why no one notices the corpse in the school, to which Style states it's because Aureolus has put a seal in the school, and that they need to defeat Aureolus to break it. They move to the stairs, and Toma wonders why they aren't using the elevators. Style tells him that they can't use equipment that is on the outer side while they are on the inner side. They later arrive in a cafeteria where they suddenly discover that the students have noticed their presence and are in some sort of trance. Style states that the students have been placed on the inner side of the coin as an automated alarm system. The students start standing up and begin doing an incantation. Glowing blue spheres start coming out of the students' foreheads while they're doing the incantation. Style states that it's time for Toma to do something and runs away. But Toma realizes that his power is not enough to counter that many separate magic spheres and runs away as well, catching up to Style, who argues with him about why he is running away. Somehow, while running, Style is able to explain to Toma that the Espers are using a replica of Gregorio's core. Style says that it is a grand magic spell that requires 3,333 monks to pray together in a cathedral. To defeat it, he says, one must simply defeat whatever is synchronizing all of them. Style and Toma reach the staircase, and here Style uses Toma as bait to run away. While running from the spheres, Toma comes across a girl surrounded by the spheres. She chants an incantation. While doing so, it creates several cuts on her person. Toma tries to tell her to stop. The girl suddenly collapses, and Toma tries to break her fall. While doing so, the spheres that surrounded them are now moving erratically, swirling around and then suddenly launching themselves to Toma. But they suddenly stop and slowly fall down to the floor and disappear. Toma hears a noise and turning around sees Aza. Meanwhile, Style is burning a symbol off of a wall with his fire magic. He comments on how messed up Aureolus is for using students to help him instead of doing it on his own. However, this is overheard and commented on by Aureolus himself. He postulates that the intruder that came with Style may have been devoured by Gregorio's replica. Style responds that Toma will not go down easily and asks Aureolus why he lured him there. Back with Toma, Aza diagnoses the injured girl and says that some light treatment would suffice. Toma asks her how she knows this, and she replies that she knows more about blood flow than most people. She then asks Toma to assist her as she aids the girl. Toma advises her to escape from the school, but Aza tells him that she is not being held against her will and that she has her own objective for staying in the school. She tells Toma that she is there in order to avoid attracting and killing vampires with her blood. She tells him that vampires are just like regular humans and she doesn't want people to die because of her. She says that she made a deal with Aureolus. He will cure her of her ability to kill vampires in exchange for luring a vampire to him when she somehow needs to save someone. However, their conversation is cut short by the arrival of Aureolus himself. Toma tries to attack him at point-blank range but somehow misses. He tries again, but this time Aureolus somehow moved to a considerable distance away from him. Aureolus tells him to fade away but is cut off by Aza. She tells Aureolus that Toma does not know the significance of deep blood and came to the school to rescue someone he had met just a few hours ago. She tells Aureolus that if killing civilians is his objective, then she will quit and kill herself. Because of this, Aureolus does not kill Toma. He takes out a large needle from his pocket and stabs himself in the neck with it, then tells Toma that he will forget everything he learned here in the building. The scene cuts to the outside of the school. Index had followed the magical aura from the ruins around Toma's apartment to the building. She enters the building while Toma and Style are sitting on playground swings in a nearby park, dazed and confused, remarking that they had a vague feeling that they had forgotten what they are supposed to be doing. However, when Toma scratches his head with his right hand, he remembers everything that occurred in the building. Toma then instructs Style to close his eyes and stick out his tongue, because he knows of a charm to erase his doubts. Style somehow obliges but is then punched in the jaw by Toma, which dispels his memory loss as revenge for using him as bait a while ago. Inside the building, Index comments that there is a seal set up to prevent intruders from escaping. Style and Toma return to Miss Alakram School just in time to see the forces of the 13 Knights of the Roman Catholic Church guarding the entrance. The Knights pull out their swords and invoke the real Gregorio Choir. Style muses that the 3,333 monks are probably sending their prayers from St. Peter's Basilica. Toma asks what they are doing and Style tells him that they are going to bombard the school. Clouds gather above the building as lightning and thunder roar out. Suddenly, a large flash of lightning strikes the building and it slowly collapses. However, the collapse suddenly stops in midair and the building inexplicably begins to rise and repair itself as if time were rewinding, while the knights look helplessly on the tremendous power of Aureolus. Toma then notices a familiar headdress on the ground with a cat underneath it and suspects that Index has somehow gotten involved in this. Meanwhile, Aureolus carries an unconscious Index into his office and gazes down fondly at her. Toma and Style have returned to the school building. Style has somehow confirmed where Aureolus' office is, and they are now heading towards there. Toma ponders on how they are going to save Aza and now Index, who he feels has now gotten involved with the situation, from a man who can do anything just by saying it. The scene cuts to Aureolus and Aza, with Index on the table sleeping. Aureolus tells Aza that the grief with her powers will be over soon, and that she now needs to lure a vampire. However, both Toma and Style arrive in Aureolus' office and where Toma confirms that Index truly is in trouble. Style tells Aureolus that he will not allow Aureolus to attain his objective. Style tells Toma that Aureolus simply wants to turn Index into a vampire. To Aureolus, regardless of the consequences, Index will still be saved. Aureolus says that Style should understand him as he too has experienced what happens to Index every once a year. Hearing this, Style states that Index has already been saved by the young boy next to him. Style tells him that Aureolus may have not heard the news since he is in hiding. Aureolus responds to the absurdity of the situation by stating that Toma is a normal human, not even a magician or an alchemist. He is however told by Style that Toma has with him in his right hand the Imagine Breaker, a power that is beyond what humans have. Style then surmises his position. All of his efforts to cure Index were completely in vain, and tells him that Index is completely happy with Toma as her partner. There is a moment of silence between them. However, it is broken by Index calling for Toma and wanting some food. Style finds this hilarious and laughs, as well as Toma. Suddenly, Aureolus commands them to fall to the floor, angered that his efforts were trampled on. Aureolus takes out one of his needles and stabs himself in the neck, but before he can state his command, Aziz stops him. She tells him that she understands his feelings and tells him that what he is doing is not right. However, while doing so, Aureolus has already stabbed another needle into his neck and commands her to die, causing her to fall to the floor. At the same time as this, Toma breaks out of Aureolus' command by biting his own thumb and catches her. Toma holds Aziz in his hands, calling her name. Aureolus laughs and comments on how he doesn't need deep blood anymore and how he has kept his promise, as she will be released from the curse of her own blood through death. However, Aziz suddenly moves and gasps for air, signaling that Toma has dispelled Aziz's death through Aureolus' Ars Magna by using Imagine Breaker. Aureolus is obviously shocked by this, but is told by Toma to shut up already and declares that he will destroy his illusion. Toma charges towards Aureolus, who uses his Ars Magna to attack him. Toma, however, dispels everything Aureolus throws at him with his Imagine Breaker. Attacks like suffocation, electric attacks, and summoned cars falling from the ceiling. Seeing this, Aureolus confirms that his right hand can dispel his Ars Magna without exception. He postulates on what would happen if Toma was attacked by something that Toma cannot touch his right hand. Using his Ars Magna, Aureolus specifies a pistol that can fire magical bullets that exceeds human motion recognition. He demonstrates an attack, destroying the wall behind Toma. Feeling confident, Aureolus says that he won't kill Toma easily and wants him to entertain him more. Using Ars Magna, he conjures two pistols with several barrels on them. He fires several bullets on Toma, and it hits him. However, it seems that Toma is uninjured. Aureolus laughs and reminds him that he won't kill Toma easily. Aureolus prepares to fire another set of rounds on Toma, but is interrupted by Style. He asks him why he needed deep blood, which somehow angers Aureolus. He continues on saying why he did not use Ars Magna to create a vampire himself, if his words can truly distort reality. Infuriated with what Style said, he commands him to float above to the ceiling and is ripped off of all his skin, exposing his innards. This makes Toma almost vomit at the sight of the now horribly disfigured Style floating above him. However, Toma realizes something. He stands up and begins to realize why Aureolus could not just command Index to be saved. While thinking this, Aureolus changes his pistol to be capable of firing a blade. At the same time as this, Toma realizes that Aureolus does not distort reality through his words. However, Aureolus has already fired his blade and slices Toma's entire right arm off of his body, with blood gushing forth. Believing that he has won, Aureolus laughs in his victory. However, Toma suddenly laughs as well and is smiling in a deranged and frightening manner. He is still alive. Toma walks slowly towards Aureolus, and seeing him alive, Aureolus fires another blade with the intent of beheading him but somehow misses completely. He repeats the same process, but instead uses several blades. He, however, still misses Toma completely. Aureolus, now agitated, uses his Ars Magna to summon several guillotines above Toma to cut him, but are all dispelled completely once they reach him. Toma suddenly talks to Aureolus, mocking him and urging him to use his power to distort him. Aureolus panics and spills several of his needles on the floor while being mocked by Toma. He runs towards the table, obviously frightened on how his Ars Magna is not working on him. However, while looking up, he sees that Style has come back down and is completely alright, carrying Index and smiling smugly at him. Aureolus keeps telling to himself that with his power he cannot lose to Toma and Style. He turns around and sees that Toma has already cornered him and still mocking him while smiling, telling him the true nature of his Ars Magna. That it does not distort reality with his words, but distorts reality with his thoughts. Due to the sight of Toma, Aureolus believes that he is a monster, and suddenly a dragon head replaces Toma's entire right arm and attacks Aureolus with it. The next day, Toma is in a certain hospital being treated by the same frog-faced doctor, who is amazed himself that the reconnection surgery was successful, and asks him if his body is made of fantasy. He is later visited by Style, who has brought a fruit basket with him. He states that he is visiting not because he wants to befriend him, but to see how he was doing. Style says that the dragon that formed as Toma's right arm was the despair Aureolus felt in the 11th hour. Toma asks what happened to Aureolus, and Style replies that he lost his memories and the ability to do magic, but did not kill him. They changed his form and released him so the Roman Catholic Church would not hunt him anymore. Style also notes that Misawa Cram School has been closed down. Their conversation is interrupted with Index going inside the room, at which point Style disappears instantly. Index climbs on top of Toma's bed and tells him that she has heard on how he has fought for Aiza's sake this time. Aiza comes in and is asked by Toma why she is with Index. Index tells Toma that Aiza wanted to thank him no matter what, as such she escorted her to his room. Aiza asks him why he saved her even though they only met once in a restaurant. Toma replies to her question that he doesn't need a reason to save someone, which surprises Aiza. The end. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to not miss the next part.